Hi, Abraham. I have a few questions, and I'm really happy that I got to follow her because it does tie into our inner being. I was listening to a tape from years ago and was so very inspired by the questions of, is my inner being just exclusively mine? And you answered it so beautifully saying, well, no, it can be shared. You said it much better. But that was the point. And I'm wondering if,
the thing is, your inner being, like you, is a vibrational being, and law of attraction is causing a coalescing of others that are of the same vibration. So your inner being never is a singular consciousness. It's always a collective group consciousness. And you might say that your inner being, and therefore you, has access to infinite intelligence. And so depending upon what you've lived and what you've got activated, you have access to never-ended love, expansion, vibration, achievement, creation. It's big. It's really big.
It's big. And while we're here in our physical manifestation, and there may be others who are part of that stream of what I would call my inner being that are also physically manifested right now.
Yes.
Is there communication or a time of meeting in our physical manifestation at the same time? And if is there a special feeling, like a soulmate feeling?
Since that recording that you heard, because in those days we would have described it like soulmate, we would say to you that, yes, those of you who are physically focused, you have connection with those streams of consciousness that are spattered out in a variety of physical beings. In other words, that's what that feeling of soulmate is. And we also would have said to you at that time that you have met your soulmates. They're the ones that you feel like, oh, you've come home when you meet them. They're also often the ones that make you want to run screaming and kicking off in the other direction, because when you meet someone who at their core, in other words, when someone that you meet, let us put it to you this way. Let's say you run into someone, you've never met them before, and let's say, for sake of this example, that they are another extension of the same stream of consciousness as you. Let's say they have the same inner being, for sake of this example, and you meet them, and you have a very powerful feeling of aversion to them. Well, what that aversion means is that seeing them has amplified within you an awareness of who you really are, as well as an awareness of who you are and they are in this moment. So sometimes when you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and you meet someone who's coming from the same source energy that you are, your feeling of them is over the moon enthusiasm. But if you meet someone and you're not tuned in, tapped in, and turned on with who you are, and you meet them, then the exaggerated crevasse is amplified. You see what we're getting at?
Yes, and I could actually use that if I'm aware that might be why I'm having that kind of adverse feeling. I could use that to remind myself I'm not.
Well, in every case we would use it. In every case we would say something about this interaction is amplifying who I really am, and it's also amplifying who I'm being. So, in other words, something that we think would be very worthwhile for you to write in a notebook every day, maybe many times a day, is when someone makes you feel that way, or when you feel that way because of your interaction with someone, what is it, so-and-so, what is it that I'm thinking about you that has me separated from who I really am and what I really want? Feel the power of that. Instead of, what is it about you that makes me feel this way? What is it about you that I'm thinking that is separating me from who I really am? That puts you back in your power, because you have the ability to think that which separates you, or you have the ability to think that which could align you. Now, we talked about all of this as the way we would have told you if we were talking to you back in the days that you heard that particular recording. Today, we want to give you the advanced, evolved version of that.
Good. Okay.
And it goes like this, and you're really going to like this. So, let's say that this cluster of, let's say that this non-physical consciousness, pure positive energy, was born into several physical beings. So a cluster came forth. It's always that way, by the way. soulmates, and you're all having your experiences. And as you're having your experiences, knowing what you don't want, knowing what you do want, you are launching rockets of desire into a vibrational escrow. Oh, this is so good. Listen to this. You're really going to like this. So do you have the picture? You're a cluster of source energy. You come forth into the physical in several experiences, and each of those individual experiences are living their contrast and giving birth to their idea of expansion. So what does that mean? Those of you who have been listening to us for a while, stay with us. You're going to come to a new place of understanding. So that means all of those clusters added to the expansion of this energy. So this new and improved, newly expanded, evolved you is formulating in a vibrational escrow. Got the picture of that? Now, individually, and since we're talking to you, you're the only one we can talk to from this cluster. So over here is this vibrational escrow where you and all your soulmates have been launching future experience. So you've been in this process of becoming. And now, as you turn again and again to what feels good, and what feels good, what feels better, and follow your bliss, you rendezvous, and guess who else you rendezvous with? The others who are turning in the direction of it as well. In other words, that's the way we've been explaining this to Jerry and Esther. They were born at different times, but from the same source energy, with the same intention as teachers and uplifters into this physical experience. They didn't know one another for years. Jerry was living his life, Esther's living hers. They're both launching rockets of desires. They're both expanding. In other words, the source energy part of them is expanding because of what they are both individually living. Are you getting the sense of this? Now, as they individually begin to find reasons to follow their own bliss, and they get more in touch with who they are, they come into alignment. And as Jerry came into alignment with who he was, and Esther came into alignment with who she was, guess who was standing there for each other to see? You get a sense of what we're talking about? When you come into alignment with what feels good, you must come into alignment with all aspects of you. That's why we're saying law of attraction will not deliver to you those things that are not a vibrational match to who you are. When you get tuned in to the loving, capable, worthy feeling being that you are, the best of all of you has to rendezvous there. And when you come together, to be non-physical energy, to come forth into the physical, to spread out and collect data and to launch rockets of desires, and then to come back into alignment with your cluster, can it get any better than that? You see what we're talking about?
Yes.
This whole Abraham movement was a result of two people who came into life experience with the intention of living happily ever after and found a way to do it. In other words, came into alignment with the source that they are. And did it end then? No. It's continuing to add and add and add and add and add.
So if there's someone that is part of the cluster of the source that I became physical from and lives an ocean away, and I never meet them physically, I'm still benefiting when they move closer and closer to their inner source?
You are, but even more, you're contributing in your way also, and you're adding, in other words, and so you're on the other side of the world and you hear a recording and it resonates with you. Do you know why? Resonates with you because you're part of that energy, because you're adding to it too. Jerry and Esther marvel that there are thousands of people on the weekly tape program, and the message keeps expanding from week to week. They say it feels like the same audience just travels from city to city to city to city to city, because you're out there living your lives and contributing to what you want to know, and vibrationally you are received. In other words, it's a wonderful creation that we are all in together, you see. And we really are not interested or encouraging of the idea of families of consciousness that must be together. We want you to understand that in the truest sense of the word, everyone who is physically focused comes from this cluster. In other words, can you imagine As you bang around and contribute to your personal vibrational escrow, can you imagine what the vibrational escrow of mass consciousness must look like? And do you understand that as all of you are amassing it, and that the individual source of each of you is becoming it, that it is from this vantage point that all the new energies are being born? That's why they come forth not worried about global warming. That's why they come forth cable ready. That's why they understand the computers better than any of you do that got here before. In other words, that's why there will always be a generation gap. It's not a generation gap. It's not a what I know that you don't know in the physical form gap. It's a vibrational gap. It's that they get to come forth from the amassed energy that everything has become. They're as tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and as expanded as it gets. And when they're born back into an environment where large numbers of people are beating the drum of what's gone wrong, of global warming, of worrying about this and worrying about that, they don't even see you. They don't resonate with that at all. They feel an aversion to you, you see.
Okay.
We took this further than you meant for it to go, but it's such an important question. Such an important question. You are all source energy, and you came here to mix it up with everyone, and no one can keep you from anything that you want, and you are all in this together, and all of them, no matter how much you don't like them or what they're thinking that you think they shouldn't think or do, they are all contributing to this expanded mass consciousness that is calling you forward. In other words, the call of Source is calling you all forward. And you don't have any choice about whether the other ones go or not, but you have a choice about whether you go or not. And when you go, then you teach to the clarity of your example. When you love, you teach love. When you hate, you teach hate. When you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on, you teach that. When you're disconnected, you teach that.